has told me we can start. So welcome everyone to STEM Lockdown Digital School. And this is really for the grade 12s, but I know some grade 11s have joined us. And we're going to finalize or finish off SQL today. And we are going to have a look. We're still busy with question 2.1 of your final exam. And this is making changes to your database. So that is using the insert, update, and delete statements. But I want to, before we move on, I want us to just go back to what we've done in the previous lessons, because this I haven't said. What is important is when you have all these statements, so you have select from, group by, or select from, where, group by, and having an order by, you need to make sure that you put them in the correct order. So you can't swap them around. You can't put group by before the where or the where after the order by. Order by always goes last. So to help you remember the order, I have made a little mnemonic. Similar, friends will go hang out. So similar for select, then friends for from, then will for where, then go for group by, and then the hang for having, and the O for order by. If you don't have a where, you will just leave out the where, but you'll still have select first, from, and then group by, and then having. So there, I have an example for you guys of including all of them in one statement. So we are displaying the average per grade. Because we have an aggregate function with a field name that we're displaying, we have to group by. But I only want to see the females' averages. So I have select from, where the gender is F, then my group by for grade. And in this example, I'm adding a condition on my aggregate function. Then we need to have a having greater or equal to 80. And then finally, I have order by that average. So order by must always go last. So remember, similar friends will go hang out, and that will help you to get the order right of our statements. But now we're done with the select, and I'm going to share another screen with you guys. And here we go. So if you are going to use insert, update, and delete in your paths, this is a good time for you guys to make a copy of your database. And just in case you maybe delete or add the wrong data, you can always revert then back to your original state that your database was in. So up to now, you guys had the given code was query, whatever the name is of the query, dot open. But now we're going to have exec SQL. So that really means execute the SQL. And we use exec SQL after a insert, update, and delete. So we're still going to have query.sql.text is assigned to. This will still be given to you. And then we are going to code the bit after the assignment statement, which still needs to be a text dot or string data type. So the delete follows a very similar format as the select. We can say, if I say delete from TBL learners and I run this, I will delete everything from my table TBL learners. So that won't be so clever, but that would clear your whole table. And the change you make is permanent in the database. So you can also put delete and then include a star between the delete and the from, but you don't have to. So you can say delete all, remember the star meant all, from TBL learners. Now with a delete, we are not going to put field names in between. We're either going to say delete from, or we're going to say delete star. Here's an example of, let's say it's the end of the year and I want to remove the grade 12 learners from my database. So there's my query.text, and then I will say delete from table learners where grade is equal to 12. So our delete often has a where. It's not going to have an order by, group by, or having of any of those. but it will have a where, else I'm going to delete my whole table. And after the where, we still follow our old rules. If this field name here is a number, then the value after your operator does not need quotes. And if this field is a text data type in your database, you will need quotes around this. You can also have input from the user, as we did in the select. So that's really your delete, and very similar to your select. Now, update and insert has its own format. And we have many options here for update. So let's just start with the first one. We are going to start our statement with update, then the name of the table. So in this case, TBL learners, then a set. And after the set comes the field name of what you want to change. Now, we're not using assignment statements in SQL. We're just going to put an equal sign here. So set field name equals to, and then the value we want to change it to. So if we want to change the Wi-Fi field, which is a yes/no field in my database, to true for all the learners in TBL learners, this will be my code. We can also use values, existing values in our fields to add something to it, like in the next one. So let's say we want to roll over to a next year and everyone has passed. It's been a good year. So everyone's going to a new grade. So we're going to say update TBL learners, set the grade by taking the current grade and adding one. So if a learner was in 8, we'll have 8 plus 1 stored now in grade. So that will now be in grade 9. Now, we often have to include conditions as well. So this is where we are going to say, have a where at the end. So what I'm doing here is John Smith has paid 200 Rand towards, let's say he had to pay for books. So in the paid field, we are storing what he has paid. And what I'm doing now is I'm saying update in the table learners, set, so change the paid field to what it was plus 200 Rand, but only for John Smith. So we have where, the field name is equal to John, and now our where has to follow those old rules we did before. First name is a text data type, so John needs quotes around it. And surname is also a text data type, so Smith needs quotes around it. So you still have to follow your old rules. Then let's say I wanted to update a field, but I want to update more than one field. That's also possible with an update, to update more than one field at one go. So I can say update the name of the table, set the cost to the cost plus 10%. So I'm increasing my cost with 10%. And then the next field, you separate it with a comma to say, now I want to change the delivery fee, and I want to set the delivery fee to false. So I'm changing both the cost field and the delivery field, but only where the title of the book is Dandelion. So that is how you change two fields at the same time. It's important that you guys study the layout or the structure of update, because it looks different from our select and our delete, but it's very simple. Update, table name, set, field name equals, and then possibly a where at the end. Now, when we are using, we did record count before, but we can with Exec Sql use Exec Sql either as a procedure, like I showed you guys here at the top. I think it's there. So that's calling it as a procedure. Or I can assign it to a variable, so using it as a function. And what this will do is it will, so this statement here is saying delete all the grade 12 learners. And if I assign Exec Sql to an integer, that inum variable will now hold how many records did I delete. So that's quite handy as well. But sometimes what we want to do is we want to first ask the user, are you sure you want to delete these people? Because remember, this is permanent in your database. So if the question is asking you to first display how many you are going to delete, you will first have to run a select with that same condition. So here I'm running a select with a where, so grade is equal to 12. So I'm seeing how many records, how many grade 12 learners do I have? And then I have to have a dot open. And remember, we did the record count, and record count has the number of how many records are active at the moment. That really means how many records met this condition. So your record count always has to be used after a dot open. So now inum will hold the value of how many grade 12s there were. And I can use it then in a show message or in a message dialog box. I'm going to explain the details of the message dialog box to you guys after this. So just hanging there if you don't know the message dialog box. I'm going to come to that soon. But I just want to show you that you can use inum in a message. So here in the inverted commas here, that's where the message goes that the user will see. I'm using my integer there. I just have to remember to into string it. So I'm asking the user, are you sure you want to delete? And then when they click on yes, so this is where it says MR yes, that means message response is yes. Then in my begin and end, I will then do the delete because they confirmed that I wanted to delete. So if they clicked on no, this part here will be ignored and it will continue with whatever is after the semicolon, or maybe even after an else. Maybe you had an else there. Okay, so let's get to the message dialog box. You can see here we have, there are actually quite a few examples of types, but you don't need to study them all. So there's empty warning, empty error, empty information, and then we have a whole bunch of buttons, MB yes, MB no, and so on. So I'm going to show you here how we could use this. Okay, so let's have a look. If we have a message dialog box, oh, by the way, you can call your message dialog box as a procedure as well. So it does not have to be in an if statement. So here, this one is putting it in an if statement. So here's message DLG, round bracket, then an inverted comma, and this part here, this is the first argument of the message dialog box. This part here, the user will see in there. And then the next part here says, comma, empty warning. So that's my second argument. My second argument is going to be what determines what is the message that I see up there, and also what is the icon that I see on this message dialog box. Then the third argument is going to be placed in square brackets. So in square brackets, I'm putting down which buttons do I want to see. So I want to see message button yes. That will produce this button here. And then I want to see message button no, and that produces that button there. If I wanted to add more, I'll just inside of the square brackets, I put commas and then add there the extra buttons that I need. So, and then a comma 0 and close the round bracket of your message dialog box. And if I'm using it in my if statement here, I'm going to say equals if this response from the user. So MR is message response is yes. Then it means the person clicked on the yes button. Taryn, I see you've got your hand up. Guys, I struggle with the hand up. Can I ask you, if you have a question, to open your chat, ask the question in there, and then I will get to the questions. I'll stop every now and again and have a look at what was asked. So the 0, the 0 is supposed to be your default. So you can, to indicate that yes is your default button. But just always use 0, that doesn't really matter. And then what I want, sorry, I'm losing my trail of thought here. Oh, that's what I wanted to tell you guys. So the question papers often say make use of a dialog box. So if it says make use of a dialog box for input, that means you have to use an input box. If they say display a message using a dialog box, then you can use a show message. You say you're feeling, Masood, that you're in the wrong lesson. This is grade 12 IT. We're busy with SQL, finishing off with SQL. And grade 11s can also learn how to do this. So it's very possible for grade 11s also to join in. This message dialog box is not always needed. So sometimes the question will say the person enters in a dialog box yes or no. Then they're typing yes or no. So you only need the message dialog box if they're saying if the person clicks on yes or if the person clicks on no, then you're going to need your message dialog box. But it's pretty cool to have this in your PAT to use it and to make sure that to include some validation. So this is just like validating to say, are you sure you want to do this before we start deleting? Does anyone have audio? Yes, Trevision, maybe you can tell him where to switch me on. You guys can't speak, but you should be able to hear me. Francois, can you hear me? I'm not sure if someone can maybe tell him where to click so that he can also hear us. Okay, so now we're getting to the last part, and this is the insert. And what we're going to do there is this the PAT for grade 11s. Grade 11s, you can use SQL in your PAT if you know SQL. Most of the teachers was, I think, planning on teaching the what is it, the addo tables to you guys in term 3, and then you could use that in your PAT. For grade 12, so you are supposed to use both SQL and addo tables because the one part of the question said that you needed to read from both tables, I think, in your PAT using addo tables. I can't remember the exact question, but I just remember that if you look at the mark sheet, you'll see that you do need to use both SQL and addo tables. The MT lowers stands for message type. I see a couple of them. You guys answered lowers. And that is what determines the little picture and the message that pops up. And we have a whole bunch. The empty error does this. So it shows error in the cross, and then empty information does the information, and then the I. Okay, so let's move on. We're going to look at insert now, and this is often the part in your PAT that gives you the most headaches. So here we go. You need to study again. Insert has a different format from the others. So we start with insert into, to remember the space, then table name, then round brackets. And when you open round brackets in SQL, please close them immediately and code in between. Remember that SQL is just string, so it runs without showing you a syntax error, and then it will crash. And I've often found when we're doing matric marking that you guys forget the close brackets. So just always when you open a bracket, close it so that you don't forget it. So in the first set of brackets goes our field names. So I want to insert 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 field names. Then after that, I put the word values. Then I open brackets again. And in here, I am putting down the values that must go into those fields. So I'm going to insert one record at a time. There are other options as well, but for what you guys need to know for your final exams is just a simple insert. And now what you need to do is these field names and the values that you have here at the bottom, they must match in what I call NOD. So the N stands for number. So if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fields, I have to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 values. So that's the N. The O is the order. If first name goes first, first name must go first in my values. If grade, the field is second, my grade must be listed second here under the values, and so on. And then the D of nod stands for data type. So if first name is a text data type, my value here needs quotes. If grade is a number data type, then the value does not have quotes. If I jump here to DOB, which would be a date time data type for someone's date of birth, that value needs hashes. And then for Wi-Fi in this case, which is yes, no, and paid, that is currency, they don't take quotes. So if you follow not number order data type, you should get it right. But if you are struggling, what I always suggest you do is just try and insert, so if, especially when it comes to your pad, try and insert only the field name, then add the grade, then add the register class and so on to see where you've made a mistake. Then we can also use insert with input from the user. So still insert into table name in the round brackets here. I list my field name, separating them with commas, then values. Now my round brackets get a little bit more complex. So remember, open the bracket and close the bracket. Now you code in between. Now there would be, it's missing here from the screen, but there would be an inverted comma before the I of insert to start my string. Now, after my round brackets, I'm ending my string here. So in Delphi, all of this here will appear in blue. Then I'm going to add my variables. But remember, if field name, first name is a text data type, we need to put quotes around the variable S name. So that's why I'm using quoted string. So quoted string places the quotes around it. But now, as we had that comma there in the hard code that we entered here at the top for John in grade 11, now I need to add that comma. So now I have to say plus start a string, comma, end the string. So this little bit here will appear in blue. Then add my grade that was stored as a string. Plus then the comma to separate the grade from the register class again. Why is there so many pluses in the second one? Taryn, that's because I am using user input. The first one was hard code. So the question in the paper would have said, insert John in grade 11A that was born on the 27th of December 2004. He has Wi-Fi and paid 500 Rand. So I wasn't required to get any input from the user. In my second example here, I'm showing you if you had to have input from the user, what you had to do. So the commas here is your strings. So now I have to add the plus with a comma, and that would be my string. Start the inverted comma, well, start your string, comma, end the string. And that's why we have these pluses, so I can combine my variables with my string. You can have a look at it as though you are displaying. Pretend you are displaying all of this and user input in a labels caption, and that's what you're really doing. No, we don't need brackets around S grade. You can put brackets, but it's not going to make any difference. And shouldn't there be a space between the plus and the quotation? That wouldn't make a difference. You are welcome to put a space there. It would probably be easier to read, but just to have it all on one line here, I didn't put spaces here so that we can have all of this in one line. But you can have a space or not a space. It won't make a difference in this instant, Nikhil. Okay, so now we want to add the class. Register class is text, so we have to have quoted string. And then we want to add to that comma. That was, where is it? There it is. After that A, there we had a comma. So that's that A. Now I also need to add the hash because date of birth is a date time data type. So now I need to put hashes around the input from the user. And then I end my string and I add my date. Remember to add it as a string. So if it was input from a datetime picker, you would first data string the date property of the datetime picker and store it as sDate. Or maybe you want to add today's date. So you could say plus data string and put date in brackets there. And then I have a plus, and then I have to add my string inverted comma again, start my string, add the hash, add the comma, end the string, plus, and then my Boolean variable that was stored in here, an S flag, probably from a checkbox, maybe the .check property, but you would have to store it as a string here. And then very important is to remember this close bracket. So plus, start my string, close the bracket, and end my string, so that that bracket matches this one here. This last bracket is the one you guys usually forget in exams. Okay, so I'm going to move on and show you guys just a few. I'm just going to move to my slides. I hope I'm moving to the right one. And are you guys able to see now the two tables in the front, TBL company and TBL activity? There's a few things that you guys should keep track of when you are doing insert, especially when you are asked to, well, you are asked to do this in your PAT, and you don't have to include all your fields. So let's say I wanted to insert a new record in TBL company. I see, Glenn, you're still asking why so many pluses. The pluses are to combine my hard code with my variables. That's why we need the pluses. If you had to display, let's say, a name entered by the learner, I stored it as sName, and now in my captions property, I wanted to display it, and I wanted to say hello and then add sName. You would have to have hello in hard code in your inverted commas and then plus sName. And that's the same reason why we have so many pluses, is when we're inserting into a table, but by using our input from the user. Yes, you are able later to get these notes. This is also going to be loaded onto YouTube, I think, later today. And you can find this lesson as well as the others, the live recordings. And then later we are going to also post the lessons to you guys on various platforms. So Africa Teen Gigs is running with us, so keep an eye on their social media. They're on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and also on the GDE website is the plan to post the edited versions of this. So this little bit that I'm saying now wouldn't be in those videos when you're watching them. Okay, so let's go back to insert. If I wanted to insert into table company, you guys hopefully know that that little key there means it's the primary key of the table. We always have to insert the primary key when we're using insert, unless that primary key is an auto number. So if the data type in your database for company ID was an auto number, we cannot insert it. SQL and Access will do its own thing, and it will just add the next number to that new record. And then if we have, let's say, so in this example, actually the company ID wasn't an auto number. The company ID field, let's say I had a value of card 004, and that then we have to insert a new company ID. So primary keys always have to be inserted unless it's an auto number. But it can't be the same as an existing one. So if I already have car 004 in there, I can't put another one in there because the primary key, remember, needs to be unique. But these other fields here are optional. You don't have to insert them all. Now, this here is the link in Access, and this means I refer to this as the parent table, and this is the child table. You guys, most of you guys know the Sims game, and no child can be born without a parent. So that's the same in Access and in SQL. And also when we want to delete a parent, we have to first delete all their children. So no child can exist without the parent. Now, when we're inserting into a child table, there's more to take into consideration. Yes, if the primary key is not an auto number, it has to be inserted. That's step one. If it is an auto number, you have to exclude it. It can't be inserted by you in your insert. But the second thing you need to remember is that this field here, the company ID field where the many sits, that is linked to the parent table, this field here is called the foreign key, and the foreign key has to be inserted. You have no choice. And further to that is that that value that you insert has to exist in the TBL company, the company ID field. So no child can be inserted without having a parent value there. So if I have car 004, I can add an activity here with company ID car 004. But if car 005 does not yet exist in the parent table, I can't use it in here, and I can't insert a child into this TBL activity without that value existing in there. So I would first have to create a new company, car 005, and then I'll be able to insert a new record in TBL activity with that company ID. So that is what you need to take into consideration when you are inserting. Just quick recap on that. We do not need to insert all the fields. We have to insert our primary keys if they are not auto numbers. If the primary keys are auto numbers, you cannot insert them yourself. Access and SQL will work together and do that for you. If you try to do it, you'll get an error. And then further to that, in your child table, you have to make sure that the foreign key is inserted, as well as that the foreign key has an existing value in your parent table. So that's a mouthful. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. Okay, now we're going to get those who have joined me before. You guys are now going to do some answers, so get ready. You're going to type in the chat, you're going to type the statements for me, and we're going to see who gets it right first. There are all the hashtags for those who are not on Zoom, if you want to join in the answers. And there's my first question. This was from the final. You can start typing. I just keep on talking so it's not so quiet. So it's from the final of 2018, paper 1. You send me the statement for this question. The field for the payment number is called payment number. You guys can also download these final papers. I'm soon going to show you guys from where, because the best way for you to study SQL is practicing and getting those errors and learning how to read the errors as well. So I don't have an answer yet, waiting for you guys to send me a message, and I hope to get one soon. Here we go, Mike. Okay, so you guys have to excuse me. It actually jumps around quite fast, so I'm struggling to get the first one. So Mike, delete from TBL payments where payment ID is 110. Yes, that is correct. Well done. That is the correct code. So everyone who had that, we got it really quickly. This is, if you can see the message here, delete from TBL payments where the payment number is equal to 110. We can also say, Morgan, you use delete star. That is also correct. Or you can use it without the star. Now, payment number was an integer or number data type in my database. So 1110 does not have quotes around it. Okay, let's do another one. Here is the final of 2019. The table is TBL names. I've put it up there for you guys. The field that you will use, well, extra, is team name. And you want to update the number of games won. but only for, well, for all the records apart from the under 14B team, they lost their game. So you don't want to update then. Remember, after this will always be an exec SQL. You guys must also remember, this is actually good practice what we're doing here on the chat, because that's what you're going to do in your theory paper. There is question 5 contains some SQL, and you guys have to write SQL using pen and paper as you are now. Just writing the bit after the dot text is assigned to for me. So the result of the games won during the last sport day, and I don't have an answer yet. So we want to update the table TBL names, or TBL teams, adding 1 to the value to the number of games won field for the teams who won their games, but under 14B lost their game. So let's see who can get this update correct. Remember, okay, so Lois, update TBL name, set number of games 1 to number of games 1. It looks like yes, +1. We're not, okay. Lois, you are very close to being correct. All you need around your under 14B is to put quotes around it. Remember, under 14B, well, team name is a text data type. So, Mike, that's not, we can't use the not that way. What you can do is using the not. I'm quickly going to type it here. You can do that, like Riku has done now. Oh goodness, I'm sending privately to to the lockdown school. I need to send to everyone. Okay, so that's a not. You can also say, Mike can use team name not equal to under 14B. We have 10 minutes left. I see that. So we have update table names for Riku. Set number of games 1. Okay, you're missing the +1, Riku. So number of games 1 +1. Where team name is not equal to under 14B, but remember your quotes must be double quotes and not single quotes. So let me show you guys the answer here. Okay, so we have update table name, set the number of fields 1 equal to the number of games 1 +1, where the team name is not equal to under 14B, and that must be in double quotes. And Layla, that's correct, but there has to be a space between the 14 and the B, and you have to put the slash there. You have to put under /14B. So Megan, that looks perfect. That is correct. And we use, Taryn, the double quotes. I think you must go back to the previous lessons. That is on, if you search on YouTube and you look for Africa Teen Gigs, I want you to go and have a look at our previous lessons, because they are explained if we need the double quotes because team name is a text data type. So the values then need double quotes. You can also use 2 single quotes, but that's just hard to read. Using the double quotes makes it easier for us to read. So I'm going to show you guys the next one. Get ready. This is our insert. I've left it for last because it's hard. Okay, it's not difficult. It's just hard to type. Here's what you need. You need the game date field. You need the duration field. You need the score field. The other fields are listed in the question. And it is adding a new game with 76 as the game index into the table TBL games, and the game was played by the player ID HM000. So player ID is a field name on that date, and the players scored so many points, and the game lasted 250 minutes. That would be the duration, and the points would be the score. So we need to insert, forget about the example of output where it says 1 record was added. You don't need to display that show message to me. That's just the show message. I can't remember this question. It's possible that the show message was included. Sometimes the show messages are included to just tell you it was done. But in a pat, I would suggest that you always include a show message, just to say you have to, just to say, you know, it has been done, because we don't see output with insert, update, and delete. We don't see output. So therefore, I would suggest that you guys do a show message, so it's actually possible to see. Okay, I'm still waiting for an insert stable. So it's insert into TBL games. Then we have round brackets. And I guess you're taking so long because it's quite a lot to type. You have all those field names now to type, and you can put them in any order. It does not have to be in a specific order. You just have to remember that the field names and the values that you are typing match in number and order. So today we're finishing off with SQL, and tomorrow for the grade 12s, we're starting with two-dimensional arrays. If any grade 11 learner already know one-dimensional arrays, you're welcome to join in, but I think you're going to be a bit confused if you don't yet know one-dimensional arrays. And this afternoon at 2, we have another teacher that's going to teach 11 IT. So anyone who wants to join at 2 for 11 IT, that teacher is going to do some while loops. And there's always a while loop question in question 1. Okay, here we go, Pramit. Let's see how it's going. Insert into TBL names. We want the game index, the player ID, the date. It should say game date, but I'll excuse you for that one. We also need the duration and the score. So you're on the right track, but you don't have all the fields there. Remember now, your player ID must be in double quotes, not single quotes. I'm not sure if you're typing maybe on a device where you're struggling to get the double quotes, but just so that you know, Pramit, we need double quotes around player ID. And yes, the date field will need hashes. So you are on the right track. You're just missing some fields. You should have, here we go, Mike. So we have insert into the table, the player ID, the game index, the game date, the duration, the score, and then the values. So player ID, yes, is correct. Game index is 76, perfect. The date, yes, I see you, I don't know, for everyone, just always match your data type of your system date. So the date that you see at the bottom right of your screen. So this could work. And then the duration was 250. And yes, the score was 6655. Mike, you've got it. Well done. You're the king. Okay, so here we go for everyone else. We are ending off in about 3 minutes. So let me just show you guys the output, and you can check your answer against this. Insert into the name of the table was TBL games. Then in round brackets, the field names in any order: game index, player ID, game date, duration, and score. Close the round brackets. Then values, open the round brackets. Now, if you had the game index first, you need to have the game index first here in your values. Game index is a is a number data type, so we'll just put 76. Player ID needs the quotes around HM008. Game date needs the hashes around the date. And then the duration and the score at the end is just the numbers there, and close the brackets. So well done, guys. I see lots of correct answers. I'm just quickly having a look. I see Megan, you've got the right answer there, and Mangalisu, looks like yours is correct as well. I think there was just a typo with a little comma after values. I know you guys probably struggle now to add this. Just remember that you guys have to add it in the right order as well. Okay, so that brings us to the end of today's lesson for insert, update, and delete, and how to make changes to our database. And this is where I want to show you guys. You can go to this website here, click on curriculum, click on National Senior Certificate, and download past papers from 2018, the final of 2018 and 2019, this will be question 2.1, the SQL. And then from 2013, the final of 2013 down to 2008, that would be question 1. So those older papers are great to practice with. They are not outdated. They are what we are learning now. And they are much longer, so it gives you more time to, you know, more practice opening one program. Since we have 4 questions at the moment, the SQL question is a smaller bit than it used to be. And now tomorrow I will see you guys at 11, two-dimensional arrays. And then grade 11s, please remember this afternoon at 2 for while loop revision. And then thank you very much to STEM Lockdown Digital School, hosted by Africa Teen Gigs. You guys can find the live recordings on YouTube. Just search for the Africa Teen Gigs channel. And you can follow them on several social media platforms. You can use these hashtags to find them. And then you can find them on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and keep an eye out for tomorrow's links. We get them late at night and we'll post them as soon as we can. So thank you, everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow. And grade 11s, I'll see you tomorrow at 2. Bye-bye.